Remember that one time I told you about a homeless dude being chased by the police? He stole a guy's bike and then he rode up onto Interstate 5. Well, that happened right there. Yeah, they had to stop traffic on Interstate 5 for a homeless dude who stole a bike. Let's take a walk. Let's see what else we got going on. We are in Seattle's Eastlake neighborhood. This is the old site of the Eastlake Bar and Grill. It burned down with a firework on 4th of July, maybe, I don't know, handful of years ago, couple of years ago. Here, you've got Lake Union. You can kind of see some of the big boats out here, but this is some of the most epic kind of boating Pacific Northwest scenes you're gonna see. It's got a bunch of housing. There's always people running here because, you know, we allow drugs, but we also, we're real healthy. See what I mean? Head on a swivel. You just don't know what's going on here in Seattle. A couple of Mondays ago, maybe it's 3 Mondays ago, it's just absolute insanity. There was a guy picking up garbage at like 5:30 in the morning. Try not to talk too much with other people when they come by. Makes them feel uncomfortable. But right up here, so you've got this amazing park. And then you had a deal where a homeless dude was asleep right here. It's dark, like 5 o'clock in the morning. Guy is coming with his truck, picking up, I think it was yard waste. He's picking up yard waste. And he ran over the guy right here and killed him. Like 3 Mondays ago. So you got a homeless dude sleeping wherever, doing drugs. He's done so many drugs that he doesn't hear a massive diesel truck pulling up right here, and it runs over him and kills him right here. So that's kind of incident number 1. It's like, that's why you don't allow homeless people to just kind of post up wherever. You need to have them in shelters, you need to have them wherever. Treatment is housing. You know, just doesn't make any sense, does it? We're gonna look at a couple more things along this little walk, but yesterday I spent a couple of hours with Andrea Suarez and her associate Tim of We Heart Seattle, and we were in Dr. Jose Rizal Park, which is a handful of miles up over that way. It's near the intersection of I-90 and 520. And it was off the hook. And Andrea, who spent 5 straight years basically doing outreach to the homeless, to the whacked out nut jobs on fentanyl, and cleaning up tent encampments because the city won't, she said it was the worst that she had ever seen. That didn't make me feel any safer. At one point, Andrea literally asked me, "Do you have a gun?" I'm like, no. I don't, but I'm rethinking now. You got a lot of cool stuff here, but then you've got this underlying progressive ideology that has just gone wildly sideways. And I do mean wildly sideways. The park I was at with Andrea was overrun with homeless, hookers, and I do mean hookers. Apparently they're charging $10 a pop, but in New World economics, that's 2 hits of fentanyl. 2 hits of fentanyl for spreading your legs. Some of the stuff that I saw yesterday with Andrea Suarez, I mean, a lot of it I couldn't film because I put my camera in my pocket. It's like, this isn't safe. This is super dangerous. There was one point we were literally going underneath. Getting run over by a jogger while filming. Not good. Furlise, restaurant Furlise. A lot of this stuff in through here is vacant. As we get up here, it's more occupied. What I saw with Andrea yesterday was just, what is going on? And they're cleaning. We talked with utility workers. I didn't film any of that because I don't want to get anybody in trouble, for speaking their mind. I want to hear what they have to say. And they're basically saying we're cleaning up for the World Cup. Cleaning up for FIFA. It's like, okay. Oh, here we go. There's some graffiti. It's just completely disrespectful. But that's Seattle, because there is zero repercussions for bad behavior. We'll take anybody. Our mayor has basically come out and stated the homeless are welcome here. It's that progressive ideology that is just batshit crazy. I mean, it's mentally retarded. And people in Seattle are like, oh yeah, bring us your poor. And I'm like, no, don't. So yeah, yesterday was a real eye-opener. Dr. Jose Rizal Park with Andrea Suarez. Now this area seems like it's pretty normal. It's pretty mellow. And for the most part it is. But it's also Seattle. This is Seattle. And so you've got a bunch of crime. And one of my stories that we'll see towards the end here was an Italian restaurant that's been broken into 25 times. Did a full podcast on that. You can see that on this channel. 25 times. 25 times. Could you imagine? Your business is broken into 25 times. At what point do you say, you know what? Maybe Seattle isn't for me. Maybe this isn't going to work out. Maybe I need to move my business to wherever. Bellevue. I can't do it there. No margins. Rent is too high. This place is good right here. Eating there. Yeah. Otter. Water creatures. Waiting for the bus with a mask on outside. Mental. You got mental problems. Just like a lot of the folks here. They're called progressives. They are mentally challenged due to their ideology. Oh. Guys are taking stuff somewhere. This is my Starbucks. I'm not going to bug these guys. But, they're cleaning out the Starbucks. Yeah. How are you? So, now Starbucks is cleared out. That used to be the front door. And it's graffitied up. Oh, that's perfect. That's great. Now, this is what happens when Starbucks gets protested, or Starbucks gets unionized, or Starbucks state of Seattle, raises the minimum wage to the point where you can't make a profit. Your store gets closed down. So there's that. I was at that Starbucks the very last day that it closed down, and they just basically on a Thursday said, boom, we're done. And by Saturday, 2 days later, they were done. It was closed. Now it's getting graffitied up. And this is in a pretty nice commercial residential area. But like I said, when you've got a bunch of crime going on, you've got break-ins and stuff. It's going to happen. And then you've got a minimum wage that isn't viable. And you've got people protesting. It's a hard no-go. It's a hard no-go for corporate. And I don't blame them for saying closed. So that was one of the Starbucks, one of I think 11 Starbucks that got closed down in Seattle. And it was always busy when I was there. I mean, there was always a ton of people there. Some really old stuff, and then just a bunch of gentrification coming in, just kicking people out. Now you got a bunch of people who, need to make 135 grand to be comfortable here in Seattle. 135 grand to be comfortable. To not be in a position where you can't afford rent. Okay, now we are coming up on that restaurant I was telling you about, that Italian restaurant that has been broken into 25 times. Make that make sense. And these are all, what I've shown you, these are all major news stories covered in local media. Not Not crazy, weird media, but mainstream news stories. You can Google them. Just Google Seattle restaurant broken into 25 times, and you're going to come up with this one. Homeless dude steals bike, drives onto freeway. That's in there. Homeless man killed early morning, run over by a garbage truck, yard waste truck, whatever it is. Starbucks closing 11 stores, Eastlake being one of them. So then, the other thing I was thinking about, there's a whole bunch. That's loud. There's a whole bunch of coffee places right here, and so maybe it's a matter of, if you've got a competition thing and you got a bunch of other stuff going on, like labor wages and whatnot. Okay, so here is our restaurant, Italian restaurant. It's been broken into 25 times, Serafina. I've never eaten there, but it's supposed to be an epic Italian restaurant. It's like super cool. Here it is. Those are your three kind of examples that cover a whole bunch of the major issues. How long have I been walking? Like 15 minutes, 18 minutes? And within that, I showed you three major news stories that cover drug-addicted homeless, because if you're asleep on the asphalt or concrete, whatever that was back there, in front of a dumpster and you get run over, I'm sorry, you're whacked out of your mind on drugs. So you got homelessness, permissive drug use, a soft on crime policy that allows criminals to break into a restaurant 25 times, and you've got stores closing down from major corporations. This is a mainly residential area, and I've been appraising in these neighborhoods for literally like 30 years. And a lot of the neighborhoods, like right here, they've stayed about the same. But then you've got other neighborhoods, like I was in yesterday with Andrea Suarez, that are just, what is going on here? Like, where are we? What third world country are we in? You know what I mean? Just like drug addicts walking around. I don't feel comfortable filming. I'm in a park. I'm in Dr. Jose Rizal Park in Seattle. And I don't feel comfortable filming. You got hypodermic needles, condoms, used condoms. You got hookers coming in and out of tents. You got hookers getting on the bus. I'm sorry, hookers probably isn't. There's that seaplane taking off. He did a Yui. There he goes. He's going up to the San Juans. Hookers is not, I think that's no longer appropriate, but I'm old, and so my filter, I just don't really care. Prostitutes, world's oldest profession, I'm not really sure, but we go with that. Getting on a bus. I watched one leave the encampment at the park, getting on a bus, and Andrea's like, yep, she's probably going up to Highway 99. She can get way more than $10 a pop in Highway 99. That's Aurora. That is where, you got people running girls up there all day long, because it's known as the track. It's Seattle's track for prostitution. So you've got a real drug culture here. You've got a real criminal element, because drugs still ain't free. No matter how cheap the cartel has made them, drugs ain't free. And then you've got infill like this. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 units on the back side. And then these units up here are going to be a little bit taller so that they can have unobstructed views going west of the water. So I'm going to walk you down here. You'll kind of see some of what's going on. But this is Lake Union out in front of us. And Lake Union is always the body of water you see in front of the Seattle City skyline. I'm not going to walk in there because it's private property and it's trespassing. But these are the little houseboat communities that people live in. $1 million houseboats. And there's their walkway. I'm surprised this one isn't gated. That doesn't make a lot of sense. I would have a gate there for sure. But then again, I also believe in borders. I believe in law and order. Things that, progressives don't believe in, because we should just allow everybody to come into our community just because. Here's the front end of that project. So you've got this all over Seattle. This is the infill that everybody's just worked up about. They want housing, they want more affordable housing, but they don't want you to build it. And when you do build it, they hang on to a tree and say, don't build here. And you're like, well, where do you want them to build? Not in my backyard. All right, okay, whatever. In literally 15 minutes, I showed you walking kind of some real major examples of policy that, if it wasn't implemented, if we were tough on crime, if we held our stance on drugs, which we didn't, if we didn't defund the police, if we didn't, decriminalize just about everything and make crime completely acceptable, if we actually enforce the law, things would be wildly different, but they're not. And with leadership moving in the wrong direction, which is towards socialism, it's a beautiful area. But you got progressive, ideology that runs Seattle and runs Washington State. And Seattle is a flagship for all this absolute nonsense. Just pure insanity. And it impacts things. But you know what everybody does? They ignore it. They just completely ignore it. Yeah, it's Seattle. It's just what we're doing. I'm like, no, it didn't always used to be this way. Seattle's always been grungy. But it's become really expensive. Number one, people are bitching about how expensive it is. And it's like, yeah, your progressive policy created a situation where you made everything just wildly expensive. So what are you going to do about that? Well, I'm going to make more affordable housing. I'm going to bring costs down. How are you going to do that? You're not. This is baked in. We're baked in. These are $1 million units here. $1 million. They got some views. You might pick those up for like $700,000 elsewhere in, lesser locations. Maybe $800,000 on the low end for a 2-bedroom. But these are $1 million. And then housing over here. Granted, we are literally on the water. The water's what? It's right there. 85 feet away. I'm mainly done with my nonsensical rant. But bottom line is, city is trying to clean up for the World Cup to come to town, because FIFA. it's laughable, because they can clean it up. Damn well they can clean it up. Why don't they? There's no will. There's no political will. They want things to be shitty. Why is that? That's the question of the hour, right? But you have these all over Seattle. And people come here in the summer, and it's epic. I mean, it's so cool. And yet, you've got homeless dude right over there getting run over, restaurants being broken into, and yet you've got this as your backdrop. Seaplanes coming in, seaplanes going out all day long. It's so pretty. It's so beautiful. And yet it is so ultimately up, like the graffiti here. Like, do we need that? No, we don't. Do we need this? Yeah, everybody needs this, because this is epic. Sit here and you watch the fireworks go off. Anyway, yeah, so progressive ideology has just ruined this city, and everybody ignores it because they're progressive and they think, this is the best thing in the world, best thing ever. What could go wrong? Yeah, I just kind of showed you some examples of that. Whether you want to believe that the reasons I gave you are the reasons, that's up to you. But this isn't getting better anytime soon. And with the election of Katie Wilson, if you believe progressive ideology is what's made this city's decline happen, I'm in agreement with you. Anything else? If you want to tell me, big corporations pushed out the little guy. Well, I don't really see that as a reasoning for a homeless dude getting run over by a garbage truck. You know what I mean? That just doesn't make any sense to me. Starbucks closing down a store. You got some real economic underlying issues there. And you know what? I have no idea what's going on ahead up here. It's some kind of, it's going to be loud. I'm going to end this video. Thanks for watching, and make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell, or do whatever you want. Because, you know, I'm from Seattle, and I want you to do whatever you want to do as well. Stay safe. We'll catch up soon. Thanks for being here. Bye.